Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Replay Podcast. Today, we have a friend, realtor, influencer, all of the above, Stan Lopez. Bro, thank you so much for being on, man. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good, man.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen you.
I know, it's been a minute. I've seen you blowing up on social media. I've seen the food. Before we get into the food, just give everybody a bio of who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
So now I do commercial real estate, but before commercial real estate, I was actually in nightlife for 15 years, on and off. Started in 2007, did the grind before all the nightclubs came in town. Started with Tao Group back in 07, walked the strip for like 2 years, like handing out flyers. You know, that's how I built my foundation. I was a promoter, and then got asked to be a VIP host after that because I was putting up a lot of numbers. And that just became the lifestyle of what I did. Built my foundation from that and just made a career. I didn't know anything else except, the nightlife scene. Hospitality was my thing. And during COVID, when COVID happened, I was with the Wind for like 5 years prior. I was expecting to come back. But, in the meantime, I was like, just as a backup, let me get my license. And I've always wanted to get into real estate. But the timing was off. You know, we made really good money, and I was like hesitant on when to get it. Timing was off, and then finally it just was like, okay, I think this is my time. Finally got it, and transitioned over to the residential real estate. But that's basically where it started. Nightlife residential, and then now I'm doing more commercial because for me it's less emotional. And,
what do you mean by less emotional?
Well, residential, I mean, I think a lot of people in the space kind of knows, like, when you're taking care, when you're assisting people that wants to buy a home, right? It's emotional in the sense of they're putting their life savings into something, in an investment. And
got you.
When I got into commercial, I was like, this is more my personality, where it's very straightforward. It's very numbers, it's all numbers, very business mindset. Do you like it? Do you not? All right, let's take it.
Does it make sense for your figures?
We're not talking about carpet and paint.
I want to paint that. I want to do that. You are, but more so like, let's negotiate that into the lease or whatever, right?
So so that's where I got into. I was born in Philippines. I was raised in Hawaii. I was raised in Hawaii for 16 years and then transitioned to Vegas in 07 when I was 21. Oh, man. And just, my career just started taking off in the hospitality.
So Philippines. How old were you when you moved to Hawaii?
I was 5.
Do you remember anything about the Philippines?
Yeah, a little bit of it. I was 5 years old when we migrated over to Oahu. My parents, wanted a better living for us. So we got sponsored by my grandma at the time. And this was in 92. And I grew up there.
How was it growing up in Hawaii, man? Is it like the movies, like always surfing, always like
it can be
good food?
It can be, just different parts of Hawaii. I grew up on the west side. So, I grew up in the middle class, went to public school, and then transitioned to private. So I went to an all-boys school growing up in high school.
Stan,
you would never know, right?
Hell no.
Yeah, I was an all-boys school, dude. There was only 2 boys school at the time. There was St. Louis, and then there was Damien Memorial. And then after I left, a couple years after, they announced that they wanted to make our high school into a co-ed.
Shit, damn it,
so
man.
So the only 2 boys school, one becomes co-ed, and then the other one, I don't think it's no longer there for some reason.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I graduated in 04.
04? Oh, same. We're the same year. Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So what are some fun memories that you remember of Hawaii? Like some good, like juicy stories, like, damn, we used to do this or we used to do that.
Oh, man. I mean, those were my partying. Those were my partying days, the ones I can actually remember. I was not even 21, but I would always get invited into the 21 and over clubs. And that's kind of like actually what really took off like my personality. Like, I was getting invited because I was doing photography. Okay. And that's where my name started kind of going around. This is like, I think before
photography
MySpace
was big.
Well, before even photography was big, this was back in like film, like it was actually film photography.
Oh, shoot.
There was no digital cameras back then. There was no Instagram. It was like right before the peak of when MySpace was coming up.
I remember that. Yep.
And, I started off in a studio at this small little mall. Oh, there was a big mall, but I got asked by a classmate. It's like, hey, do you want to work with me as a photographer? And that's kind of like how I got invited into that realm. And so I started doing studio photography. I was there for about like 2 years, 3 years. Started, meeting a lot of people, interacting with them. So I started figuring out like how my personality was with, other strangers. And, it's just from there, I was like, okay, I'm starting to do, I started getting to the feel of wanting to have a camera. So I got my first camera, started taking photos of like models because I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just take photos of pretty girls. I started, I knew a few.
Yeah.
And then my name started circulating. I started doing magazines. So I started becoming like more of like that semi-pro photographer back in the days. And I was like, all right. That's when I started invited to the clubs and like, oh yeah, you're Stan Lopez. I was like, wait, you know me?
What?
So yeah, that started happening. And then by chance in 2007, I was like, man, I need to get out of Hawaii. Like there's nothing out here that made me want to stay.
Okay.
Cost of living was expensive.
As it still is.
As it still is. You had to make like $20 an hour back then to be comfortable, right? Now it's like, it's probably double that.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, hey, let me try something else. Let me move out of Hawaii. I didn't know where I was going to go. I posted up a bulletin on MySpace. Does anybody have a room? One of my mutual friends was like, yeah, my buddy's got a room. You should hit him up. Like, what are you going to charge me? Oh, $500. So I had, all right, let me do the calculations in my head.
Yeah.
Got $2,000 in my bank, $500 for the month. I think I'm making something happen.
That makes sense for me.
Yeah. So I come downstairs after I posted that bulletin and I told my parents, I was like, hey, I think I'm moving to Vegas. They're like, when? I'm like, well, I'm packing up my stuff tomorrow, putting in my 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks I'm gone. I literally did just that.
Dang. Okay.
When I say something like, I'm going to do it, like that's my focus. I'm just going to do it. I literally up and left. I had $2,000 in my bank account. I said, I got to make this work. If not, then I'm stuck, So no job, no car. I came up here. My friend the guy picked me up from the airport.
How close of a friend were you with this guy?
This guy was a stranger.
Oh,
like
shit.
Straight stranger. I had no idea who he was.
Bro.
Yeah, I was just like trusting my gut because the guy that referred me was his mutual friend. And I kind of knew who the guy was.
Yeah.
So I was like, it can't be that bad, right?
Yeah.
But literally this guy changed the course of my life.
Oh, shit.
Obey Jeff.
Okay.
Obey Jeff.
All right.
Shout out to you. But he changed the course of my life because I was 21. I had no car. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I heard valet makes good money. I was like, how are you going to do a valet if you don't have a car? I was like, you're right. So
plan,
he's
Stan?
like, why don't you be a promoter? I was like, what is that? What are you supposed to do? But I mean, I had an idea because I was already getting invited to the clubs in Hawaii. I had an idea. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to introduce you to my buddy, Mike. This guy, Mike, knew my name, but he was from Toronto, but he was running the nightclub scene for Tao Group. And he knew my name because of the photography scene.
Okay.
He was also in the import, back days in the import scene.
Yes.
So he knew my name. And he's like, I'm going to hire you right on the spot because I know who you are and I know you're good with girls. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
Can I swear?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can, bro.
So yeah, dude, he changed the course of my life. I got introduced to Mike. And from there, I broke records, bro. Like I got the most girls in one night. I put the most girls or most people on the guest list. Like I was hustling.
Damn. So how does that work? Because I've always seen like there's levels to like promoters, right? You probably started off at the first level, like where you had to bring girls. Like, explain how that works.
Yeah. So there was an in-house team, and then there was basically like a separate team, a street team. Okay. Street team was basically you're like a tier 1 now, if you want to say tiers, right?
Yeah.
You're basically the street team. Like you go out and you got to hustle.
Yeah.
Back then we had flyers and we had a phone, and we literally walk up to strangers. Like you just walk up to them and ask them, do you want to go to a nightclub?
Hot girls, right? Or attractive girls?
Back then, yeah, you had to try to get like the best looking girls, right? And there was only 4 nightclubs back then: Body English, Tao, Tris,
dang,
and Pure.
Wow.
Right?
That's
so we're the 4 major players in the town, and there was not a lot of competition. A lot of the hotels weren't even developed. City Center wasn't built. Palazzo wasn't built. Encore wasn't there. All the south side of the Strip was kind of there, right? So I would walk from Venetian all the way down to Planet Hollywood, walk across to Bellagio, walk all the way back towards Fashion Show Mall, through the casinos, right?
Yeah.
And then back to Venetian. And this is winter. This is during summer. You know, we'll get drunk in between just because what else are you going to do walking on the strip,
exactly,
right? You'll go gamble once in a while. But it was fun. Like I learned a lot doing that. And we would do it from 12 p.m. sometimes till 6 p.m. 4 or 5 days a week. We go out, we'll go party, we'll get drunk, we'll go to an after party, come back home. And this was a lifestyle. Like literally, I've slept in literally almost every single parking lot on the strip.
Oh my gosh.
And I can tell you Cosmopolitan is the hottest fucking parking lot. In my suit, fucking sweating, sleeping in there because I didn't want to drive home. You know, when you're young and dumb and drunk, you
do stupid stuff.
You do stupid shit. So yeah, that was my life. And it was a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. A lot of my friends, you know, they're still in the game.
Man, okay.
Because the money is good.
Yeah.
Right. And you're comfortable. You get a lot of perks being in nightlife.
Yeah, I've heard.
But there's also that downside of like, you know, if you want to create a family, if you want to do something outside of it. But it's really just figuring a balance.
Yeah. Who do you like? Let's talk about that. Like, who do you see? Like, I guess in what position and what role can you actually have a family where you can like have decent enough ish hours? Is it like the top executives or like the top promoters?
No, not even. I mean, man, to be honest, like you can have a family whatever part of your career in nightlife. It's really how you handle it. And if you have a support system, right? I don't have family out here, so we don't have that kind of support system. But if I had to do it back in the day, I mean, I feel like I was in the right timing. It's also dependent on your partner if you have one. But it's all dependent on your financials. If you don't get somebody pregnant by accident,
which you've probably seen.
Yeah, I've seen it many times, you know. Jeez. And it's all case by case. At the end of the day, it's how you are mature enough to handle it.
Yeah.
Because I have friends that started in the career and had, 3 kids while they're
in it.
Yeah, cocktail waitresses especially. But I feel like the flexibility is there because of the flexibility of nightlife in general, right? For me, I was a promoter, became VIP host. There's cocktail waitresses that do it, but I mean, it depends also if you're in the union, because union will back you up. Yeah, you can't just get fired anywhere.
Exactly. So you got promoted. How did that promotion happen? Is it because you were just a badass and shit was rolling in for you?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I mean, I was hustling, bro.
Yeah,
I was hustling, and you know, when people see that you are putting up numbers, you're bringing in clientele. Yeah, you get asked to move up. And back in the days, bro, like it wasn't easy to become a VIP host. They didn't just give out that title.
Like now, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier
You had
now.
to like deserve to earn that. You had to earn that.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like, yeah, you can be a VIP host and whatever.
So with that VIP host title back then, what did it mean? Like, what did you have to do? Like, what are the like requirements that they wanted you to meet?
Yeah, it's all sales and marketing at the end of the day, right? You're building customer relationship based. Your responsibilities is making sure that the clientele stays with you and books their entire experience throughout the whole weekend. You're taking care of their from like the restaurants to booking their trips, you know, getting them hotel rooms, doing any events. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you are the plug. Basically
for everything.
I mean, you try to be at least, and then you're building these relationships from restaurants to hotels to outside of vendors, right? And then obviously making sure that they have a great time during their stay in Vegas. And then you know, time to time they'll even ask you like, hey, do you have a connection outside of Vegas? New York, Miami, Toronto, Vancouver, whatever. But if you're a really good host, you've built connections like that. Right, you've built connections internationally, and that's what I did. You know, I would go to Toronto or Vancouver, and it felt like a second home because no joke, I'd walk around in their like tourist area, their downtowns, and I'd get recognized because people from that city would come to Vegas so often that they know who I was, and I'd walk around in the clubs and they'd recognize me. Like, oh, you took care of me in Vegas. I'm like, no shit. That's awesome. And I still have friends till this day because of that. Yeah,
that's awesome. So, what on a low end and on a high end, what can a VIP host make?
Ooh, I mean, on low end, I mean, if you really suck, probably like under 60K, maybe. Okay.
That's if you really suck.
If you really suck. I mean, you got to be making at least over 6 figures. You know, on an average, you can make some good money. I mean, some executives were clearing at least like 200-300. But it was probably even more in that before it became corporate.
Yeah.
Because of after all the, I don't want to throw out the names, but after all the tax evasion stuff, like it became very corporate. So they had to put rules down, and I get it. Like it was a wild, wild west back in the days, which was fun. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was stories, a lot of stories. I don't want to say it, but there was a lot of stories. Yeah, come on, some Stan. Juicy stuff, bro. Look at there's a crazy documentary out. I haven't watched it, but there was a client. A lot of people know who he is, but there's a documentary about him.
What's it called? What's the documentary called?
What's his name? He was a big spender from Malaysia. I'll tell you that.
I've heard
Jolo. His name is Jolo. He was I don't know if you want to screen that out, but there is a documentary about this guy, bro. Like that was probably one of the craziest times that I could say I experienced when he actually showed up to Tao. I was probably 22 years old. Swiss Beats came in 3:00 in the morning, and Tao group was still packed. Right,
3 o'clock in the morning.
3 a.m.
That's usually like getting ready to close.
Everyone's already starting to leave, but there were still people that stayed. And then Swiss Beats came there, and then this is the first time I've ever heard this guy named Jolo came in. Next thing you know, we're hearing over the PA system. Swiss Beats is like, he wants to order 100 bottles of champagne. We're like, what? 100 bottles of champagne? I've never heard of this guy. Who is this? 100 bottles of champagne comes out. Let's order another 100 bottles. So that's 2. And then another 5 minutes later, send out another 100 bottles. So this guy orders like 300 bottles of champagne. He literally clears out all the ace of spades, clears out all the doms, and he's giving bottles out to like every single person that's on the dance floor, even the bathtub girls, right? And we're like, what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
And Swiss Beats is like, when I count down to 3, everyone fucking shake the bottles, dude. There was a big chandelier, a red chandelier in the middle of the dance floor back in the days. That whole entire chandelier was soaked. And they used to have a bubble machine or the foam machine. So it was champagne and those bubbles dripping off. And my entire suit was soaked.
Everybody.
But it was a good time. It was like one of those things that it's like an experience you'll never forget.
It's a dope ass experience.
Oh, yeah.
What did this guy do? Was he just like
Well, he was siphoning money from the freaking country.
Damn.
This is part of the documentary. I didn't watch it, but I know of the story, and he's hired celebrities to come party and all that, and we've seen it. We're just like, what does this guy do? You can't be spending that kind of money for so long,
especially if you're not royalty or anything like that.
It was
dang. Okay, crazy. So you've experienced some crazy shit on the strip.
That was very memorable.
And then when did you decide? Okay, did COVID kind of make you stop? Like,
yeah, I was forced to make a career decision because I thought I was going to get brought back, but I didn't. Okay. And during that time, I was like, okay, I need something as a backup because what am I going to do? I don't want to, I was already 31 at the time. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't want to go back into nightlife. Like I was already at the time, I'm already over it.
Yeah.
It's not a passion anymore. It's becoming more of like a tedious,
like a job that you
emotional.
hate, kind of like,
it was just like, I'm kind of over it. Yeah. Right? I didn't have fun anymore. And you can only drink and party for so long.
Yeah.
So I finally decided, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get licensed. Let me see what happens, because I've always been into investments. I've always been into numbers. I've always been into like real estate, but I just never got licensed.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I kept putting it off, and finally I did. I got it. My girl, she's like, I'll get it too. I was like, all right, cool. You'll be extra motivation. Awesome. So we both got it. And I thought, my assumption was, okay, I worked in nightlife. Maybe I can get some business from my friends that's in the nightlife.
Bro.
Oh man, it was.
Were you wrong?
Oh, I was wrong. 100%. I was.
Hate that, bro.
You live and learn.
Yeah.
But the thing for me was, I didn't build my network in locally the right way. I built a lot of outside of the country type of business. People
that were coming into party.
Yeah. And so I didn't build that relationship here. And I was like, man, but it's okay. I lived and learned. But at the end of the day, I've been doing it now for almost 3 years, and it took a minute to finally figure out what I wanted to do in the space. I kept trying to figure out, okay, how do I get my name out there without having to do the traditional route.
Yeah.
The cold calling, the knocking on doors, sending out mailers, like doing all the traditional marketing. And I was like, man, I was doing sales and marketing for 15 years in nightlife. What can I take from that and put it into this new career?
Yep.
Right. I started learning how to do YouTube prior to that. So I had some kind of experience. I started watching YouTube University for how to edit videos prior to doing the real estate stuff. So I already kind of had that experience. So I just took that and I was like, let me try to figure out if I can do some social media content.
Yep.
And I think I remember watching you, and I kept asking you about how we can partner up and see what route that would take. But I never knew what I do now would lead to the propulsion, what I'm doing now.
Yes.
Exactly. And if we want to get into it,
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, okay, you got into real estate. Who did you start with? What company did you start with?
I was with EXP.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Off the bat.
So off the bat, I was with EXP. I had a mentor in there that was doing resi and commercial.
Okay.
But that was during COVID, right? And sadly, he ended up passing away.
Oh man.
Because of COVID. We both were at a open house, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go meet a client real quick." And that was the last time I literally saw him.
Damn.
After a week and a half, he ended up passing. And he was my mentor that was supposed to help me get into the commercial, like he was holding my hand type of thing. Didn't happen. So that one got cut really short, and it really like changed my entire energy. I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do now? Like I had to figure it out, right? And one thing great that came out of that was because that client that he ended up meeting, he referred to me prior to the week of from Seattle, and that ended up becoming my first residential client.
Awesome. He bought here.
They ended up buying here. That family actually became my first client that I ended up closing because I helped them after he passed, right? He's like, well, let me continue helping them, family friend. And I mean, till this day, they actually are the ones that babysit my daughter. So we built a relationship out of that. Awesome. Yeah. So something came out of it at least. But that's how I started. It was with EXP. Didn't really catch a lot of traction. I sold a few for clients, but it never really started taking off. And then I should just figure out, okay, what am I gonna do, man? Yeah. Like this is
2020
2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah, 2021, because I got licensed in August of 2020.
Okay.
So 2021, I was trying to figure out, okay, this is my testing year. Yeah. Just try everything that you can. I did door knocking during the summer.
I saw those videos.
Brutal. Brutal.
But hey, the summer fucking sucks, bro.
Dude, it's the worst. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's cool because it was like, you have to do it. Yeah. Like meeting people, just knocking on doors. It's like, at least you did it. And it's not as bad as people think, but in Vegas it's just hot. So that's the part that really sucked. I didn't really mind knocking on people's doors because they were actually like in the neighborhoods that we went to, they were pretty cool. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the rough neighborhoods, but it wasn't like the best neighborhoods either. Yeah. So it was kind of in between. But we did that, tried the cold calling. I got into different like, communities that tried to like paid communities that tried to do the residential mentorships. Yep. That didn't really, I mean, it helped, I met some people in that. And then I did the creative finance stuff, met some people from that. And then just slowly just learning different aspects of the business. I was like, all right, well, let me just try commercial because this is not really working right now. So I'm going to try commercial too. Let me see how that goes. And I've always wanted to do commercials just because for me, I like buildings. I love architect. Yeah. And I was like, this is more business minded. You're talking to entrepreneurs, which is exactly what I did in nightlife. Yes. I literally had conversations with business owners all the time. We had a good time. It's just straight shoot conversations. Yep. And I was like, okay, this is really starting to come my way. I understand this a little bit more. I started taking a little bit more of those online classes from other commercial brokers or whatnot. And then one day I found this guy as an inspiration because I was like, I'm going to start doing content. Okay.
Because you've always been into content. You've always been good at content. Like when I've seen you
I was testing.
Yeah.
When you saw my stuff, like literally I was testing a few different variations of what would fit my personality, what would work in general. Because I was doing the head talk, info.
Yep. The talking
infotainment,
head.
talking head.
Yep.
It was getting a little bit of attention, but I was like, man, I'm still kind of bored. This is not getting a lot of shares. So I was like, okay, I need more. Like I know it works. I'm good at editing. I'm good. I'm decently fine in front of camera.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to figure this out. So I got some inspiration. I was like scrolling on Instagram. I found this guy named Caleb Simpson from New York.
Caleb Simpson, okay.
He's the guy. How much do you pay for rent in New York?
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I like this. This is a good content. Yes. He gets a lot of shares. He gets a lot of views. It's like, why is nobody doing this in Vegas? Let me try it.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. I asked my friend Omar. He became my second mentor for commercial.
Okay.
So I asked Omar. We were at his office building, medical office building that he owns. I was like, hey, I found some inspiration. Let me try and test something with you. He's like, what do you want to do? So I was like, I pitched him the idea. And it was a boring office building, right? Like, well, how are you going to make this fucking thing entertaining? So I was like, hey, just roll with me. Let me, I have the idea. Let's walk outside, grab this broomstick. I'm going to walk up to you and pretend like you're a stranger and you're going to be sweeping the fucking outside of your office. He's like, you want me to do what? That's fucking awesome. He's this Colombian guy, heavy accent. And it's just funny. So I filmed it. I put it out. And I'm not even kidding, bro. Like on Facebook Reels, this is not even Instagram. I posted on Facebook Reels.
Just to test it out.
Yeah. And within, I would say like a week and a half, 275,000 views.
Bro.
I was like, what?
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So 275,000 views. And that's the most views I've ever seen on one video, on my own video, and let alone his Facebook Reels. All right, let me try and post it on Instagram. It was a little bit, maybe like 10,000 views at the time. I was like, all right, let me take it and just try to see if maybe some of my friends that's in the restaurant business want to do some free videos. So I asked a few of them. There was a few that were like, maybe later.
I bet you now they're fucking regretting it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So,
you know who you are, fuckers.
So one of my guys was like, yeah, let's do it. He was down. He's like, I love it. Started posting that. Now I started getting a little bit more shares, a little bit more views, started getting more engagement.
At this point, how many followers were you at right now?
Bro, I was like 9,000 followers, maybe like less than 9,000 followers at the time.
Okay.
And the views to engagement ratio and my follower count was like 3 to 1 maybe at the time, right? It's like for every 8,000, I was getting like double the views maybe at max. And then so I was like, all right, I got something going on here. Let me just keep trying. Let me, try these out for people that wanted to test out the concept. So I did the office building. I did the restaurant. Okay, both successful. I was like, let me try it on a drone company. I found this guy that was flying a FPV drone at a luxury home.
Okay.
I made friends with him. I was like, bro, I got an idea. I pitched it to him. He's like, all right, let's go do it. So I got my friend, Wendy. Awesome. I was like, hey, Wendy, can we use one of your luxury homes to film a video? I got a collaboration content that I want to pitch. She's like, yeah, let's do it. So she lives in this big ass house in McDonald Ranch. And then I had the guy come over. I don't know if you've seen it. Luxury drones.
Is it a girl in a nice ass car? Was it? Because I saw one you did with a girl.
There was one that I did with well, okay, let me backtrack.
Okay.
So I did the restaurant, I did the office. My next one I did was a luxury furniture business.
I saw that one. Yes.
Okay. So we'll go to that one. So the luxury furniture business, I ended up doing that because
expensive ass furniture too.
Yes, high end.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we did that piece was because I asked her name is Denise. I was like, hey Denise, I'm doing a commercial event. I need a location to host it at. Where can I use your furniture store? She wasn't even open at the time. She had all the furniture in the warehouse, all before soft opening. Yeah. She's like, yeah, let's do it. So we did my event there. I had like 40, 50 people show up, right? Dude. And I was like, yo, this warehouse is dope. Like, I think we should do content. She's like, yeah, let's do it. I literally had all my gear. We did a content piece. I released it. And dude, the freaking video took off. Damn. my first video that hit over 1 million views.
Bro.
And I was like, what? Like I kept refreshing and it was like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. I was like, yo, I've never seen a video like this.
Yeah.
Yo, it was wild. I kept showing her and she kept texting me back. She's like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But that video hit like 2.5 million. And I was like, okay, we got something.
Yes, it's working.
And so from there, I posted the video I did with my buddy Juan and Wendy, the luxury drone. And that video, I did it back to back. I was like, let me write on this algo. So I posted that video the day after, 1.5 million views on Instagram, 1 million views on TikTok. And I was like,
what? This is working. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then people were just like noticing, but the follower count wasn't really getting there. It was just the views. It was cool. It was good, getting good engagement.
It was a start. Yeah.
Yeah. My credibility was there. So I was building that foundation too. And I told my girl, I started this in January of 2023 when I started doing that content.
Yep.
And it was January 3rd. I remember the date. And I was like, let me just do this for a year. Let me see how it rolls. And I was telling my girl, I got to do like free stuff for the beginning, even though she was like really hesitant. She's like, you got to charge. And I'm like,
that's the way to get
I will.
There. Yeah.
I will. But let me build this credibility first. I want to see where it goes because my time that I'm investing is just my time.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not putting a lot of.
You don't have a staff. You don't have anybody.
It's just my own investment, my own time investment. So I rolled with it. And my concept was, if I can show value up front for these small businesses, maybe I can get some business in return and have them go through me to find them their new space. That's what I was thinking in my head as a commercial agent. How do I brand myself so I can get business in the future and get my name out there? If I can get enough engagement on my videos that people will share it, that's more for me as, okay, this is your stamp of approval. You'll have more eyes on you as Stan Lopez, commercial agent.
Yep.
And maybe I can get some business from that. And little did I know, that became my success. Like literally, I started doing videos for my friend Leon that owns a few different franchises, Cubanidad, which is his Cuban sandwich franchise.
Yeah.
So I did his video. And because I did it and it get a lot of traction, he's like, I just started sending him properties. He's like, I like this one. So we locked in his third location because of that one video. That free video earned me a nice commission on a check because of one video. And then I was like, okay, this is finally working.
Yes.
Proven.
Like, here you go, baby.
Proven.
See, it's working.
Yep. And so
money.
From that, I was like, how else can I get my name out there? So I started figuring out, okay, there's a lot of food influencers. If I can tap into the food influencer community and get my name in that, maybe I can get more business.
Yes.
And then from there, I ended up reaching out to Hooked LV, which is my buddy Damien. He put me on the map of all the influencers around town.
Damn.
Because I did that collab. He was a little hesitant. He's like, I don't know if it's gonna do good. I was like, bro, trust me, trust the process.
Yes,
I promise I promise it's gonna do good.
Yes.
And I got introduced to two of his clients, which was Ole Churros and Sayelitas.
Yes.
Sayelitas is that big ass burrito.
Yep.
We hit it off. I did a video for her. First restaurant that did 1 million views. I was like, bro, okay, let's go. So that was like my third one.
When was this in 2023? What month?
I would say Sayelitas I probably did in October. I want to say, if I look
towards
back,
the end already.
Probably towards the end, yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, like I started getting hit up by different businesses around town, like small little restaurants, like, hey, we want to do a collab. And I was like, okay, I got to figure out how do I make money? How do I monetize this? Right? Because now I can get views, I can brand it, I can make it entertaining, but also at the same time, it's not just like your casual voiceover type of foodie content.
This is fucking good.
Yeah, this is like it's a win-win. It's a win for me. It's a win for the business. And that's basically how I wanted to create it. It's like, how does everyone win in this situation?
Yes.
So that was my mentality going in. And then I started getting business on the back end where the videos converted into my leads. Right now, I'm starting to get like, at least like this week, I had 5 leads just from Instagram alone. Right. And I was like, okay, I'm doing the work that instead of me doing the traditional cold calling,
they're coming to you.
They're coming to me because it's a warm lead now. It's like I got credibility.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say I stand out compared to other commercial agents around town. And I'm not just like a foodie content creator. I do small businesses, right? The only reason why I do more restaurants is because one, the perks of eating, right? I'm a big foodie.
Food, yeah.
You seen it.
It's so good. Little jelly.
And aside from that, it's, that's what gets shared the most.
Yeah. Food.
So if I can collab with the content creators, if I can collab with these business owners, and my mentality is I'm going to hit up the ones that have already a good following, because if they have a lot of following, I can collab with them on a post. They know, they can see who Stan Lopez is.
Yep. That makes sense. So fast forward now, how is that affecting your business? And is it has it the ROI? Because I know you talked about that a little bit. Is it are you starting to finally see I'm making some money?
Oh yeah. So now it's like 2023 was planting seeds, literally. Well, between 2022 and 23, I was literally planting seeds. And now I'm starting to see that seed grow a lot quicker. Like I'm watering it a little bit more. It is a lot of work. I am a little bit behind, but because I'm by myself, I don't have a team with me right now, but it definitely, my ROI is through the roof right now, because I'm not paying for anything. At the end of the day, I get these meals for free, right? Because
it's your time.
My time, I put a lot of effort into my videos. It's not like your basic voiceover videos, right?
That's really
I put the video I did for Xpot. David actually reached out to me. He found me on Instagram. He's like, yo, we should do a collab. And that video has the most shares. Over 1 million views, but the most shares out of any video I've ever done.
Damn.
Take a guess how many shares?
100.
No.
More?
Yeah.
How many?
Way more. Last time I checked was 52,000.
52,000 shares?
Yeah. That was the last time I looked.
Pull that shit up right now.
Dude, it's crazy. I've never seen a video shares. The most I've seen was probably 16,000. And that was my video with Penny for Lotus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right here. 53. 53,000 views, bro. And 1,061,430 views.
Damn. What does he do?
So he's a partner of Chubby Cattle Group. He did the Xpot. He owns Xpot.
Yeah. That's a Korean barbecue or something like that?
It's shabu shabu. It's in
what's the difference?
Palazzo. Well, shabu shabu is hot pot, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not really too familiar with the space.
I mean, but you know more than me.
Yeah, it's a very high end A5. There's a lot of Wagyu, high fat meats.
How good was that food?
Bro, it was good. My stomach just kind of, I had the spicy broth, so it messed me up a little bit the following day. But that video, it was I filmed for almost 5 hours. I was there. I had 3 other friends join me because
it's a big project.
It was a big project, right? So I was like, let's make it fun, entertaining. I don't know if you've seen the video.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that
I saw you actually going into it as well.
So that took me almost 5 hours just to film, right? Film, dine experience, whatever.
All of the above, yeah.
And it took me a week to produce the actual video because I was like, okay, there's so much content within 1 minute and 30.
Yeah.
So that's 90 seconds. I got to fit a whole 3-hour experience into 1 minute and 30. So it took me a week to put together, but that was my best video, I think, so far. And I film everything with my iPhone.
Damn.
Yeah,
and
everybody's
great.
Yeah,
I've
film with the iPhone 15.
I've seen your setup. It's a nice setup.
Because everybody's like, "What do you film with?"
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I literally film with a mobile phone.
Yeah,
and that's it, and a light maybe. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like the reason why I film with the iPhone is because people get nervous. Right? People get nervous when they see something big pointing at their face. So what if I just make it so that it feels organic? It doesn't. And I think a lot of times what I've learned in creating content is when you make it less overproduced, people tend to watch more of it because it feels more organic.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, that's why I have a Canon R6, but one, it's too big, it's too bulky, it overheats. Yeah. Right? I don't have to deal with that with the iPhone. You could just run and gun that shit. Yeah.
Let's go.
All day.
Man, okay, so how has that increased your leasing business? The commercial side? Yeah.
A lot, actually, because the restaurant in itself on the commercial side, it's a high turnover, right? Yeah. Most businesses in the restaurant space fail within the first 1 to 2 years.
Damn.
I would say 95%. So it's good for us as agents, but if you do it right. And I think the thing is, in general, restaurants have a lot of competition no matter where they are.
Yeah.
The thing that really separates a lot of businesses apart is marketing. I mean, you can have great food, but if nobody knows where the fuck you are,
that's it.
You ain't gonna get sales.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like any business. Yep. So that's why for me was, how do I pair myself and collaborate with these foodie influencers and help, how can they help me with my business?
Yeah.
If I can help them portray who they are, that's what I'm trying to do with a new series. And collab with them and feature them instead of just the restaurant owners.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of the times these guys, I mean, they put in a lot of work too, and they don't get any praise.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen it on somebody's post is like, they're blowing up businesses, but in trade of a plate of food.
Yeah.
So I want to give.
How do you monetize it though?
How do I monetize it?
How do you monetize it, and how can they monetize it? Or
well, a lot of these foodie influencers that I've made friends with, they work for an agency. Okay. Right? Most of them are with an agency. If not, then they're independent. Okay. And they'll do like, they'll run ads, or they'll manage pages basically. Okay. So let's say for me, if I wanted to run a page, I'll go up to a business and I'll ask them like, hey, I'm going to post this much for you. I'll come make content for you, but I'll post 3 or 4 times a week for X amount of price. Yep. That's if I was independent. Some of these other influencers, they'll work with an agency, which they'll tell them, hey, you get a set price, whatever they'll pay, they'll get a %, but you have to make content for them, and then you have to send it back within 48, 72 hours, sometimes a week. It depends on what package. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So that's how they monetize it. For me, what separates me is because mine is a full on, like, I'm more of like one of those, how do I
an experience?
It's more of, kind of an experience, but at the same time, I'm telling a story through the business owner. Yeah. And I'm just doing a public interview as a stranger because I want to know, majority of the videos I've done is like, I've never met them before. Yeah. Right. And I get to try their food and I get to experience it, but I also get to do a public interview with them. And it's more of a run and gun type of style. Yeah. Right. And that's where the inspiration really came from with Caleb. Is when he goes up to random strangers on the street in New York, he literally goes up to random strangers. So I just took that concept and I was like, let me just do it with small businesses. Yeah. And see how that turns out, because I'm not great at voiceovers. I can tell a story through how you've seen it. Yeah. With asking them questions and just kind of piecing it apart. And I don't structure the story till literally I'm on the computer. Oh, so shit. I could literally start off and record. So
you don't have like a set shot?
No, I don't. I have an idea in my head, but everything gets structured while I'm editing. Like stuff that I've filmed during like the second hour could be in the first part of the video, but I just try to make it make sense. That's good. Right? Yeah. Okay. I gotta make it flow.
Do you now, since you've kind of blown up, or since you've blown up, do you charge now for, like, if say a business wants to reach out to you and say, hey Stan, come shoot my shit. Yeah. You charge now.
Yeah, 100%. I have to, because awesome. I already know that I can bring value. I can bring views to the business. But yeah, I have to charge now.
You have
because
different packages. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also depends on if I'm doing a full sit down experience versus, an hour shoot. Yeah. Right. Because I've done 2 sit downs, which was the X-Pot, and I've done one with Partage. Partage was the first 3-hour experience, which if you haven't been, it's a French restaurant. Okay. On Spring Mountain in Chinatown, where Pho Kim Long is, in that same plaza.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah, I've never heard of that place.
I got invited by Las Vegas Phil, who's a big foodie out here. Yeah. But he manages their page, and that's how I figured out. Like, because I started DMing like a bunch of businesses. That's how I found out. Like, these guys actually are managing pages. So I was like, okay, that's how they make money. Yeah. And because I started becoming friends with them, they kind of started sharing like how they monetize it. And that community is really small, and they're all freaking cool. Like, I love meeting these content creators, because as a content creator, it's like you're kind of solo dolo. Yeah. And you can't exchange ideas without, like, who do you ask? Like, hey, what kind of camera gear do you use? What kind of lighting do you have? Like, can I come with you and see how you film behind the show, like behind the scenes? Like, I've invited some of those creators to come with me if they wanted to come. Yeah. Just to see how I work. And they're like, oh shit, you only film with your iPhone? I thought you filmed with something else. So it's cool.
It's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience.
Man, dude. So business is good. Life is good.
Doing better.
You have a daughter? Yeah.
Yes.
How old is your daughter?
She's 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Man,
the last time I came to you, I think it was
when you
Halloween.
came to our party, yeah, it was Halloween.
2 years?
She was like, what, a year and a half?
Bro, she was barely a year.
Yeah, she was barely
I think.
walking, I think.
Yeah.
She was like,
Yeah, she was like kind of wobbling. Yeah,
long
dude,
time,
that was at your house.
no more babies?
No, that's it. That's it. One and done. It's too much.
We're done.
Yeah, it's too much, man. Like I feel like we both are at that point where we want to travel too.
Yeah.
And luckily she's very easy as far as like a kid. And
You guys can take her, it's easier.
Yeah, we got lucky with her.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So if restaurants or people want to lease, how can they find you? Do they email you, shoot you a text? DM?
Yeah, they can text me. They can email me on Instagram. Obviously, that's where a lot of people kind of find me is on Instagram. But yeah, email, text.
Shoot them. Give me your email right here. What's your email?
Yeah, it's stanlopez.lv@gmail.com.
Awesome.
You want me phone number?
If you want, man, it's up to you, bro.
Okay, it's phone number is 702-466-9667. If you guys need a space to relocate, if you need a new space, whether it's retail, warehouse, office, whatever in a commercial space, let me know. I can find something.
Stan is your guy.
I'm your guy.
Let's go. Thank you, bro. I appreciate your time. I know you're crazy busy. Sorry I couldn't pay you, but
no, dude, no. I appreciate you even inviting me, bro. I didn't even expect this. Like, it's cool that I even get invited to a podcast. This is I think this is the third one.
Let's go.
But second one in person.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome that
I wanted you to talk about your journey because I've seen it.
You've seen it from it started. Yeah.
From when you first started to where you're at now. Becoming more.
You're
and more
one of the
successful.
few that actually really did get to see it from my start of my career.
It's crazy.
And where I'm at now. And it's like almost 3 years in the making. And it was a struggle from the start, bro. It wasn't easy.
People probably that see you now are like, oh man, he's just, super successful.
I had my financial issues in the start because during COVID, I had to sell my house, right? Well, I didn't have to. I thought I was going to lose money on it. So I sold it. And I wish I kind of held it. But at the same time, it's like, I didn't have a job, so I sold my house. And from there, I just took all that savings and that's what I lived off for the 3 years.
Dang.
And my girl was helping me. So it wasn't an easy first 2 years, bro.
Now you're starting to see the fruits.
Yeah. I mean, luckily she was very, very patient and, like any relationship. Yeah. Luckily she did. Yeah. But if you are considering going into the commercial space, make sure you have like a cushion because it's not easy. The first 2 years, you don't really make money. And that's true, bro. Straight up. I have a few agents that I never believed them. I was like, first 2 years, come on, why not? But it takes a little bit longer. And I think that's why a lot of residential agents that want to transition have a hesitation is because you really got to find a good mentor to hold your hands through the whole entire thing. Because if you don't, it's like anything else, you're going to fail. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest draw when it comes to commercial agents is finding the right brokerage and find the right mentor to be with.
Yeah. Are you still at EXP?
No, I'm actually with Devin Sansone. He's a developer out here. Okay. So very small brokerage. It's just myself, his partner, and Devin. Okay. But his family's been doing development for over 40 years here in Vegas. Dude. And luckily, I ended up knowing his partner, Andrew Dunn, and he introduced me to Devin. But yeah, it's just us three. And I'm so grateful that I got with this team because I was like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm reaching the top of my career in the sense of I know I can learn more, but I wasn't learning more. I didn't have the right person to ask the questions with. I wasn't getting enough deals to ask the questions for. And luckily I switched brokerage and I've been literally the leasing specialist for there. I've been getting, my business has been really booming since.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this year, see where it goes.
I know. I really wish that there's more residential agents that come on the commercial side.
Hey,
most people are like,
bro, start recruiting. Let's go.
I know. I need to start training some people.
Hit up Stan if you need to switch to commercial. That's where the big bucks are.
That's where the real money's at, for sure.
I've heard, bro. Yeah. Some of those checks.
You ain't got to be talking about no paint and carpet anymore, for sure.
Man, thank you so much, Stan.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Whew.
Awesome.
This is great, man.
Mm-hmm.